So as we started the show talking about late tonight, the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court to immediately pause a federal judge's ruling that required the administration to fully fund SNAP for the month of November. And we just got word from the Supreme Court that they have granted the Trump administration's request. There are nearly 42 million Americans that rely on the SNAP program. Most of them, as I started the show talking about, children, seniors, or people with disabilities, families across the country. And while multiple states have already sent out some SNAP benefits to some of those people, and I'm not sure how they can be pulled back, hopefully they can't be, SNAP benefits are staggered. So some people get them on the first of the month, some on the second, or the third, or even the 28th. Every state distributes benefits differently. And even within states, the day one person gets their benefits is often different from when another person will. So even though some people may have already received this month's benefits, this decision is going to have an impact, an immediate one, on the lives of millions, if not tens of millions of Americans. Joining me now is the president and CEO of Democracy Forward, Skye Perryman. Democracy Forward is one of two groups that represented a coalition of 25 Democratic-led states in their lawsuit challenging the Trump administration's cuts to SNAP. Skye, I'm so grateful that you could join us and help us make sense of what this is, not make sense of it, but also understand what this means. So I have it here. It's only 2 pages, but what is your understanding for people watching out there who are deeply worried about this, deeply alarmed, deeply concerned about what the court decided, what it exactly means in the short term here?
Yeah, so we just are getting this order too and reading it alongside you. But this is an administrative stay, and so the court is going to wait and see what the First Circuit Court of Appeals does. The First Circuit said earlier today it would act quickly. And so, I do believe that this is, in the hands now of the First Circuit. That's what we hear from the Supreme Court. I think the main thing that we want Americans to understand is that the courts have been very clear. The courts that have considered this have been very clear that this administration not only has the legal authority to make these payments, but this administration must make these payments. And the administration is fighting tooth and nail to deprive over 40 million Americans of their food. We represent in these cases churches and nonprofit organizations and food banks and workers who are, working every day, but because of their economic circumstances and because of cyclical employment and our wages in this country, cannot make ends meet without SNAP benefits. And this has been a devastating last 7 days for these communities across the country. And the courts have been clear that this administration, owns this responsibility, that they have the ability to make these payments. They are not making these payments. And we are confident, of course, in what we'll see at the First Circuit, which is what we're now waiting on.
Yet there's a contingency fund that has money that can cover these payments, and that is what you're referring to, and it has plenty of money in there to do that in the short term. Let me ask you just like one legalese question just on timing, because I think a lot of people watching are wondering how long will this be?
Sure.
It says at the very end of this, so this administrative stay will terminate 48 hours after the First Circuit's resolution of the pending motion, which the First Circuit is expected to issue with dispatch. What does that mean in terms of the First Circuit is going to rule? We're waiting for that. Hopefully they act quickly. What does the 48-hour thing mean? Anything?
We're going to have to see how this plays out, but I think that what the court is seeking to do here is to give the First Circuit time to go ahead and issue the opinion that it is said that it is going to issue imminently. Just want to be really clear, because I think the main piece here, there are lawyers like the ones at our team at Democracy Forward who are working right now to do everything they can. There are lawyers that are going to work night and day to try to get the American people what they need. This is the first time in U.S. history that SNAP benefits have lapsed, and it's creating such harm. But what I think we want to make sure everybody understands is this is something that this administration is choosing to do to the American people. It is callous, it is immoral, and of course the courts have said it's unlawful, and we're confident in the strength of this case.
Skye, you're so familiar with the legal process, and you have filed probably more cases against the Trump administration than almost anyone else out there. Talk to us a little bit about how hard they are working to make it so that Americans who rely on SNAP benefits don't get their money, because they've gone back to the court over and over again, and they essentially for a period of time seem to ignore a court order.
Yeah, it's really quite unbelievable, even for this administration. You saw the administration first came out and said they were confused and they thought they didn't have the legal authority to make payments. That was not truthful. That was a lie. The court was clear they had the legal authority to do so. Then they came out and said, well, it would be our honor to make these payments after we won in court last weekend. They only then ignored the court order, and the president went out on social media and said and gloated that he was going to deprive people of these essential nutritional benefits, 42 million people, based on his politicizing and trying to use people as a pawn in politics. We won another court order earlier this week, as well as an order enforcing the prior one, and they have worked tooth and nail to try to block that. So this is really a crisis, I believe, of in our country. This is a crisis in our country's values, to look to understand that the president of the United States and this administration are working night and day to deprive the American people, 42 million of them, of basic food. That is what is happening. And of course, we're going to be there in court to try to do everything we can to get people what they need.
So tell me, you're just, as I just said, this just came out. You're processing this. Everybody is processing this and what this exactly means. What is next for Democracy Forward? What is next from the legal front from your end?
Well, our team is reading this as well as talking with all of our clients on the ground. We will continue to work in this case. The First Circuit has said that they are going to issue an opinion. That's the appellate court, and so you'll find our lawyers, working through that process and doing everything we can to remedy what the courts have said is truly irreparable harm. I mean, you have families that are still unable to get the food they need as they're moving into a weekend because of this administration's action. So you will definitely see us, probably back here, but definitely in court. And again, the First Circuit has said that it will issue an opinion quickly, and I believe that is what the Supreme Court is waiting for.
Skye Perryman, thank you so much for being here. You were processing it. We were processing it as we went here. I really appreciate it. Exactly. Really appreciate it. Thank you again.
Thank you.